everybody. My name is Jimothy. This is Tubby, the best co-host in the business, and it is a great time to hit subscribe. So if you haven't already, go ahead and do that because football season has officially kicked off. Not just week zero stuff, but we're back into week one, and the NFL season is literally next week. So fantasy drafts are happening. So we got all the football content that's coming your way. Tubby, welcome back to the show.
What is up? I mean, as a Packers fan, definitely woke up feeling a little bit
Oh yeah.
excited after yesterday. So, I mean, I'm sure those Cowboys fans that may jump into the chat probably ain't feeling the same way. But as a Packers fan, feeling pretty good.
Yes, yeah, we would love that as Cowboys fans. Any of y'all who might be in the chat either now when we're live, or even if you watch this later on, put your thoughts on the trade. I mean, you're getting two first round picks. I mean, maybe Jerry Jones is right, and maybe this is better for Dallas. But honestly, Tubby, you get to be on the other side this time because you are a Dallas Mavericks fan,
I
and
know.
you were on the what are we doing, and now you're on the let's go. We got our guy.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be on this side of it?
I mean, it feels great to be on this side of it because we talked about it last week with the Packers. The pass rush was one of the big concerns I had outside of Rashawn Gary. Lucas Van Ness and some of these other guys
Mhm.
haven't really helped them out. Well, now you got Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons. Now you got Lucas Van Ness as depth along with Kingsley Anibare. Feeling a lot better about the pass rush. It takes some the pressure off the secondary where the
Mhm.
cornerback questions are a little bit. But yeah, I feel great about it. I'm okay giving up Kenny Clark because
Mhm.
he is 30. He did have a down season last year compared to the year before, which I think was a more of a anomaly.
Mhm.
7 sacks and had a 90% uh pass or run stop rate. And that one thing listening to Jerry Jones is like, oh, we were looking for a team with a guy that can come in and help us stop the run. Well, Kenny Clark isn't that guy. If you go back and look at his career, he is someone that usually is around the 60% to 55% pass, stop rate when it comes to
Mhm.
grading, which for a defense tackle is not great. And last year was at 57.
Yep.
You look at Micah Parsons, and it's something we've talked about to neutralize that Cowboys defense was run the ball at Micah Parsons.
Absolutely. Yep.
But Micah Parsons also, in his career though, still has a 60 to 70% grade on it comes stopping the run. So as a defensive end, edge rusher, it's a little bit better, than it would be having a guy, somewhere around the 60 grade as a pass rush, a pass stopper, run stopper
Mhm.
at defensive tackle. So I don't think that they got better. Like he said, oh, we just got much better.
Maybe in
You
the
didn't.
future, depending on who you
Ma-
draft. I mean, there's a lot
It,
of what ifs in the future for that.
yeah, and that's the thing is like you have to make sure you hit on those players. The last two guys that they've drafted on the defensive line in the first round, Taco Charlton,
Mhm.
not in the league anymore.
Mhm. Oh,
Mozzie
so
Smith a
fast.
couple years
Yeah.
ago hasn't panned out like we, I didn't expect him to be that good, and due to some of the stuff I watched on film, and so if you're trying to fix that part of it, you haven't done a good job drafting it outside of Micah Parsons. So I don't know. I think that a lot of it was him just trying to boost himself and maybe the fan base going, hey, yeah, we got better. You didn't. You traded one of the best defensive players in the league. When you should have traded, if you were going to trade him, you should have traded him back in March. Would have got a lot more for him because there would have been a lot more teams that had money to pay him.
Yeah, I think that would have opened it up. I will say two first round picks is not a bad turnaround. I mean,
No.
we see stars all the time get traded for
Hmm.
a first round and then some garbage late round picks. So
Yeah.
I will say they did it, but historically speaking, the Cowboys have not been good when it comes to the draft, especially on the defensive side. So I'm not
Yeah.
disagreeing with you at all. Time will tell who wins
Hmm.
this trade, but right now, this season, the Packers won the trade absolutely, and I think it kind of pushes them to are they the top tier team? Are they in the top tier of teams in the NFC?
I think it pushes them up there just because the questions you had on with the pass rush, they were legitimate.
Mhm.
And like I said, you now take a guy that is a perennial all pro edge rusher, pair him with another guy like Rashawn Gary, who is better in the run, but it could also get to the
Mhm.
the quarterback. Will take some of that pressure off the inexperienced second, the corners or, not so great corners, I think it makes their defense even better because I think the linebacker group is great. I think Edgerrin Cooper is a, star in the making. He was someone we talked about, last year when it came to the draft
Mhm.
that this kid had every potential to be an all-pro linebacker. And I think that we're going to see him take another step forward this year. I think it puts him right up there in that conversation now with the Lions and the Eagles in the NFC.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So, well, let's look at this now. Moving forward, we have two divisions left, and we're going to get into some more. The plan was, hey, let's talk about some
Mhm.
thoughts so far for football. But we're already in the thick of it. I got the Chiefs on, you got the Packers on. We already got to talk about the Packers a little bit, and we're going to wrap up our divisional breakdown. On the back end, we'll do some thoughts and some picks as we go into Week 1 with some massive
Mhm.
matchups in the college football world. So, Tubby, let's start. I think we should start with the NFC because I'm really trying to save the Chiefs for last. That's kind of what I'm doing. See, but when you're the host, you could do stuff like this. I'm just saying. So,
Right?
as we break down the division, we're going to start with the San Francisco 49ers because they were the top tier team 2 years ago, and man, have the mighty fallen off.
Yeah.
But they still have Brock Purdy, who just
Mhm.
got paid. They still have CMC, who went healthy, and a backup of Brian Robinson is really good backup.
Yeah.
They've had to trade for Sky Moore, but they have a ton of issues at the receiving spot outside of that,
Mhm.
outside of Ricky Pearsall right now. So many injuries. I mean, what's the realistic expectation for this team? Is this a playoff team, or are we looking at a team that's on the outside looking in again?
I believe this is a team on the outside looking in again. I
Wow.
understand you get CMC back this year, but there's also the devil's advocate where you have to go, how many games am I going to have for him?
Hmm.
How many games is he going to be there? And the wide receiver group is considerably worse this year. I mean, you got Juwan
So
Jennings
much
that is
worse.
hurt.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk is hurt. Pearsall is healthy, but he's banged up. Outside of that, your passing game, it's George Kittle, which, if you're drafting fantasy, that's a tight end I'm targeting because we
Who
saw what he
else?
did. Yeah,
But
we saw
even
what he
he's
did
had
at the
injury
end.
issues in the past.
Yes, he has. He has definitely dealt with some injury himself. And so the offensive line, you lose, Aaron Banks, one of your starters. Now you got, McKivitz coming in who hasn't had a great career. I, I I don't think the defense is any better. You lose Hufanga, you lose Greenlaw. I think that this is a team that we're going to see the downward trend. And the fact that some of these people are like, oh, yeah, this team is, the team that's going to win the West and they're going to be in the playoffs and going to, push these. I just don't see it this year. I think there's a lot of questions with this team, and a lot of it has to do to, injuries right now. And I just, I don't feel good about them. And like, we're not the biggest Brock Purdy fans. And without
Yeah.
a loaded offense around him, can he be that guy? And we saw it last year. He wasn't.
Hmm.
So I think that's another thing we have to take into consideration is if he doesn't have all those weapons around him, as great of a schemer as Kyle Shanahan is when it comes to the offensive side, Brock Purdy just isn't a top tier quarterback that can push your team into the playoffs and win you games, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I kind of agree with that too. I will say you talked about George Kittle. Absolutely, I have a hard time paying the price, the top
Yeah.
dollar price for a tight end.
Hmm.
But he's one of those that if you do, you're going to get a legit guy.
Yeah.
I like Ricky Pearsall, just for the record, just
Yeah.
because the efficiency of this type of
Hmm.
offense in the past. Give me a guy who's healthy to have a good season. Now I know he's banged up, but like
Yeah.
that's a guy who I target, which is one of the guys I drafted yesterday in my first draft of the season. So I don't know if you saw that, but I was like,
Yeah. No,
I
I
just can't
agree.
help but do
I
that.
agree on the Pearsall. If he's healthy, I think that's a guy you target in the late rounds as a wide receiver.
Yeah, but how legit should the head coaching seat be going into the season if they are on the outside looking in? Maybe like what is it now? What do you expect it to be at the end of the year based off what you're saying?
I mean, the fact that there's been murmurs about it after last year, to me, I think it's crazy because I love Kyle
I know.
Shanahan. I think he's a great
Yeah.
head coach. I would say right now they're probably sitting at a 4 at the end of the season. If it's outside looking in, it may be up to a 6 or 7, just because of the
Yeah.
already talk about it this last off season. Oh, should they move on? Should they start looking at? Which to me is crazy because
Crazy.
you're not going to find much better than Kyle Shanahan out there because you ain't going to get a Mike Tomlin, you ain't going to get
Mm-mm.
Andy Reid, you can't
Mm-mm.
get Mike Vrabel or any of these big name coaches. right now out on the market. So if they do decide to move on, they're dumb, but
We're
it
dumb.
wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, the riches that they had at the skill position last year at the start of the season to now, oh
Hmm.
man, it just guys,
Yeah,
the NFL stands for not for long, and it could be for a lot of different reasons. And the 49ers are an example of that right now, at least going into the season.
yeah.
Let's look at the Seattle Seahawks. New quarterback in town with Sam Darnold, who had a great year last year with a lot of weapons. And I would argue he has really good weapons for the most part in Seattle this year. I mean, say we will, maybe Cooper Cup, is he still have enough left in the tank to stay healthy? But JSN had a
Yeah,
great season last year. Can he consistently find the end zone? And then this offensive line. All that being said, Tubby, what is your initial takeaway for the Seahawks?
I think this is a team that could potentially push for a wild card spot, but I think we see a decent amount of regression from Sam Darnold. You don't have you don't have Justin Jefferson.
No.
You don't have Jordan Addison. You don't have T.J. Hawkinson. You don't have a good, a really good offensive line that the Vikings have when they're healthy. You have Kenneth Walker. You have JSN. But the problem with Kenneth Walker has been durability issues since he's been in the NFL. He was hurt early on
Mm-hmm.
in his rookie year, got a little bit banged up. He still had a really good rookie year, but then the
Mm-hmm.
last 2 years, he hasn't been on the field. But I love Zach Charbonnet. I think he's one of the best backup running backs. I think he could be a starter in the NFL. So I don't think it's so much of a drop off, but yet you lose a big weapon there in Kenneth Walker if
Mm-hmm.
he goes down. So I think that they can potentially push because I think the defense is going to be really good. I like the secondary, with Reek Woolen and drafting Eman Ware in the second round. I
Mm-hmm.
think that this defense could be a really good defense and should keep them in the ball games
Mm-hmm.
enough if maybe Sam Darnold isn't on his game. But I don't expect to see the numbers that we saw Sam Darnold put up last year.
Yeah, a career year for him. He finally put it all together 8 years after he graduated college, and people are like, "See,
Yeah,
I told you so." But
yeah.
I agree with the Kenneth Walker. Every year, his average has gone down, his carries
Hmm.
has gone down, and technically his touchdowns have. I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock into that just because
Yeah.
fewer games sometimes can lend to fewer touchdowns. I want him to stay healthy. He is.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching his style in the backfield, but I agree. Zach Charbonnet and him, 1-2 punch is going to be solid. They have good, really good skill positions. I think you're right. This is a wild card team. In a weak division, though, maybe they can
Yeah.
sneak in
Hmm.
to the division win, which is again they still would play week one. But
Yeah.
looking at that, is there an outside chance you could see them even sneaking into this, winning the division? Maybe the Rams, Stafford doesn't stay healthy. They have a good
Yeah.
backup in Jimmy Garoppolo, but so the Cardinals, who I think a lot of people are a little bit sleeper pickish towards
Hmm.
this team. They like the Cardinals. So, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. No, I absolutely think that they could potentially sneak into that division, to win that division because there is so much riding right now on the Rams season with Matthew Stafford's back. And
Hmm.
the fact that he's not practicing and the age, granted, Matthew Stafford is one of those, Ironmen that he'll go
Yeah,
out there and play if even if he's on his last limb, he's
he
still
has
going
no
to go out
hand.
there and yeah, he's still going to go out there and try his hardest to play. But if he goes down, can Jimmy Garoppolo be enough to get you there? Because you got the weapons, you got Kyron, you've got Devontae, you got Puka, you've got a solid offense line if they're
Hmm.
healthy, and you've got a good young defense outside of the secondary that can put some pressure on some teams, especially on the defensive line. But Matthew Stafford is the biggest wild card in this division because if he's hurt, I don't know if I can see the Rams winning this division without him because he's so integral to the way this offense runs.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna. I mean, they have Puka, Devontae. Is there a better one-two legit punch right now? We'll see.
Yeah,
Devontae is a little bit older, but still, the
yeah,
dude has
still.
skills. Kyron
Hmm.
Williams, absolutely a one back. I mean, he's a great running back in fantasy just
Yeah,
because that's what the style of offense that they do. Matthew Stafford. This reminds me a lot of the Saints towards the end of Drew Brees' tenure. Just how much relies on his shoulders
yeah,
to stay healthy, to stay upright, and that's why I think the X factor for this team is going to have to be that offensive line.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, well, let's move on then to the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray is going to have a full year, hopefully healthy. You got James Gardner, Marvin Harrison Jr. Does he take the step forward and be a legit wide receiver one with Michael Wilson and Zay Jones and all? Trey McBride does. Big
Trey.
question: does he find the end zone this year? That's the question.
Yeah, yeah, right. One of the best tight ends in the league. He's got to find in the end zone.
Yeah, you got to, and I fully
Yeah,
expect him this year to have a handful, 4 or 5 at least, to get
yeah.
this year. It's so hard to get to zero, and with the amount
Right.
of targets and
The
catches he had.
targets.
So, what's the expectation for an Arizona Cardinals team?
Yeah, I think this is another team. Like, I think this division is wide open, but it's also I think they could potentially push for a wild card spot, or potentially sneak into a division win. I mean, they almost made it to the playoffs last year,
Mm-hmm,
and that was with some of their guys not really performing like a Marvin Harrison like we expected. You talk Trey McBride not getting into the end
mm-hmm,
zone with all the some of the acquisitions that they got this offseason. I think their defense should be better. Getting Josh Sweat is a big deal when you had your problems when it comes to the getting to the quarterback. Adding Dalvin Tomlinson in the middle, Calais Campbell, who's one of those guys that's just, even though he's 40 years old, he's still gonna go out there and be a
yeah,
great football player. And then going and drafting some of these guys that they did. I think this is a team that could very well, sneak or push for this division if all things go right. But once again, it's really going to come down to
mm-hmm,
Kyler Murray. The quarterback in the NFL is so important. Can Kyler Murray take that step forward? Can Marvin Harrison take that step forward? I mean, you look at the way that Marvin Harrison is he's in the best shape of his life, like everyone
oh
wants to
my
say in the
gosh, yeah,
offseason.
everyone's yeah,
The dude has definitely transformed his body. He is jacked
yeah,
beyond anything I've seen. So if he can go out there and be more durable and be that wide receiver one to go along with James Conner, who is just a consistent running back, and then I think Benson will have a good year this year, barring injuries. With Trey McBride, I think this team could definitely be a sneaky team in the NFC West.
yeah. I like a lot. And here's the thing: when you look back, maybe the first 6 weeks of the season, don't be surprised if you get towards almost Halloween and you're like, this team is leading the division, has one or
Mm-hmm.
two losses. They have a very, very favorable schedule
Yep.
at the start of the year. I will say the back half of their schedule is a little bit tougher. And we'll see, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
how the season plays out. But at least on paper, the back half
Yeah.
is much, much tougher. So they have to execute early and do it real quick. But I like this team as a possible division winner. But I would take the Rams as the favorite
Mm-hmm.
and then give me one of these other two teams to make a wild card run, and maybe
Yeah.
one of them sneaks in and wins the division too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Rams are the number one until
Hmm.
we see exactly what the
Best
situation
quarterback too.
is. Yeah, with Matthew Stafford. If
Yeah,
Stafford is healthy
healthy.
enough, they should win this division. But if he's not healthy, then it's going to be kind of more of a coin toss, I think, between. And it's crazy. We're talking about the West, and we're not really giving the 49ers much of a chance, but we are the Cardinals and the Seahawks. But I think that's
Yeah.
just the way that you look at the makeup of the teams right now, is that the 49ers just aren't the same team they were a couple years ago. And they regressed last year. The injuries, have been a big problem for them.
Hmm.
And can Brock Purdy be your guy that gets you over that hump when things are down? And
Yeah.
I don't know if he can.
I know. I'm right there with you, man. So, well, let's go on. We're going to the AFC West. And last season, this was, I had 3 teams that won 10 games or more,
Hmm.
including the number one seed in the AFC with the Chiefs, who ultimately lost the Super Bowl. Just going to that there. But
Hmm. Yeah.
you have a quarterback, a new running back.
Hmm.
There's a lot of changeover. You got, did they have Amari Cooper? Am I crazy about that?
They did sign Amari Cooper.
What bringing him back? I don't know. I think he's done. I don't
Yeah.
think this is a good signing, and the fact that he's there and Jacoby Myers is still the number one. I got a lot of questions on that side of it. But the
Hmm.
defensive side, I think, is go big or go home. And
Mhm.
anything that's led by Max Crosby is going to get under my skin as a Chiefs fan. So that's my initial take on it. This is not a playoff team though in my mind.
No, no. I mean, I think you got better because Geno Smith is clearly better than any of the quarterbacks you had last year. Ashton Genty is better running back, or should be a better running back
Hmm.
than you had last year. But
Hmm.
did you get better enough, especially on the offensive line side? I don't think so. Did you get better enough on
Yeah.
the defensive side? No. I mean, you were able to retain Max Crosby. You didn't have to train him, gave him, trade him. You gave him the big contract. But I just don't think that this team got better enough all around. And yeah, I see 6, 7 wins out of this team.
Well, and we are, for the record, Amari, we are one season removed from him
Yeah,
having 1,200 yards and 72 catches. But it just felt like last year there was
last
no separation,
year.
and I worry about what this offense will look like if you just shut Jesse down and you focus in
Hmm.
on that. How one dimensional can this team be? Because we know what Geno Smith is.
Yeah.
Yes, they said we wrote him off. I'm not saying we should have fully wrote him off or whatever he said. What we wrote about him, I don't remember what
Yeah.
he said back in 2022. But since then, he's been good, but not great. And I think he's
Yeah.
actually taken a step back year over year from that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
So
yeah, you got Brock Bowers. I think Jacoby Myers is a very underrated wide receiver. What the production he put up the last
yeah.
couple of years with the Raiders team, with that quarterback situation. But you also got to think he's wanting a new contract.
Hmm.
How hard is he going to go out there and play if you don't give him that contract
Hmm.
before the season starts? So yeah, I don't think I think they got better, but I don't think they're good enough to push
Hmm.
for a playoff spot at all.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about another team I really enjoy not liking. It is the Denver Broncos. We got Bo Nix for his second year.
Oh,
J.K. Dobbins is the new running back, but they do have R.J. Harvey as well.
mhm.
Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and they signed Evan Ingram. Hopefully, he's healthy. I mean, he could be a big target
Yeah.
for Bo Nix this year. What is the outlook for this team? Is this a playoff team, or if do you actually see them maybe taking a step back this year?
No,
Tell me
I
step back.
still,
Tell me step
I
back.
s- no, I still think this is a wild card team. I
That's
think
fair
that
enough.
they got better. You didn't have a legitimate number one running back. Still don't know if you have a legitimate number one running
Oh,
back, but you
J.K.
have a
was going to be hurt. Come on now.
yeah. I mean, you have a guy that at least when he is healthy, he is a good running back. I think RJ Harvey will eventually be the starting running back. Yeah,
I agree.
but I think getting Evan Ingram, like you said, if he stays healthy, a great target for a guy that doesn't have a super strong arm, likes to throw
Hmm.
the ball over the middle. You got Evan Ingram there. Then on the defensive side, you got even better, bringing in Hufanga, where the safety was, probably the worst position for that defense, even though that defense was
Hmm.
really good. And then you bring in Dre Greenlaw, who is a really good linebacker when he's healthy. Now he is, been banged up throughout the offseason, but you have a really good defense already.
Hmm.
And I think your offense got a little bit better. And now, can you avoid the sophomore slump out of Bo Nix? If you
Yeah.
can, I think this is a team that could, definitely be a wild card team, and I expect them to be. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
So you get Dallas right there in the middle. Who knows?
Yeah.
This should be fun. Everyone's going to beat Dallas this year. That's the sweeping. Sorry, George Pickens. You just went to a team. It's going to go 0 and 17. The first ever. Not really.
Yes. No, I was kidding.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
That would be
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
Jerry Jones. They made our team better. What are you talking about? Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the Los Angeles Chargers. Absolutely revamped team. Justin Herbert, 20, I think it was 23 touchdowns and like 3 interceptions, or just 20 and 3. I know we only
Yeah.
had so few turnovers until the playoffs.
Playoffs.
New running back with Omarion Hampton and obviously Najee Harris, Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen is back. This team is a run first team, set up the pass, help put Justin Herbert in really successful positions. This is another
Hmm.
Oregon quarterback, by the way, in this
Yeah.
division. What's the legit chances that this make team? I'm not going to say makes playoffs. This should be a playoff team,
Hmm.
but do they make a deep run in the playoffs? Is that the goal this year?
I mean, that is the goal. Definitely get out of the first round of the playoffs.
Mhm.
They can't go into the playoffs and get absolutely blown out like they did last year. But I think I love Marion Hampton. Talked about him in the draft prep. I think that he was right there 1A 1B with Ashton Genty. I know Genty got all the praise, but what Marion Hampton can do in the run in the pass game, he reminds me so much of a young Joe Mixon that I think this was the perfect situation for him. Was the Chargers a team that likes to run the ball but will throw the ball out of the backfield to the running back? I like Trey Harris, a third round wide receiver from Ole Miss. I think that he complements Lad McConkey a lot because Lad's
Mhm.
going to be in the slot. The big question is now you don't have Rashawn Slater for the season. You have to move Joe Alt to left tackle, which I don't mind because I
Mhm.
love Joe Alt
Yeah,
and I think that he
he's
probably
great.
was a left tackle anyways in the NFL. I think if you're looking at the defensive side, the secondary is going to be the big question. You revamped your secondary. You got rid of
Derwin
Sante.
James and
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you got rid of Sante Samuel Jr. You got rid of Fulton. You got rid of some of those guys. And I'm going to say it once again that I've probably said it on every single. How is Asante Samuel still a free agent?
dude, it
Doesn't make
has to
sense
be
to
a
me.
money thing. I can't
It,
understand it.
yeah, I don't. It makes no sense to me. But okay. But I think that this team, their goal is to at least make it out of the first round. I'm sure they're going to say Super Bowl or bust, or whatever. But I don't. I don't think that they're good enough to beat the Bills, the Chiefs, or the Ravens
Ravens, Bengals in
and
a playoff game would be
Bengals.
tough
Yeah,
too. Oh man,
uh-huh. But I think that if you can at least get into the playoffs and win one game, it'll be you're already taking a step forward compared to
hmm
what you had last year.
yeah. No, I would agree. Win the playoff game. Justin Herbert so far is 0 and
Hmm.
2, and he's not been good in the playoffs.
Yeah,
This obviously last year was a disaster. So
yeah.
let's move to a team that has been really good in the playoffs recently, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been in the AFC Championship game nearly every single year. So this team going into it, because you still have Patrick Mahomes, you still have Andy Reid. This is a
Hmm.
make it to the Super Bowl, and obviously then it's whatever happens happens. You obviously want to win it, but that is the bar. That's the expectation.
Yeah.
This team, uh, Rasheed Rice accepted his suspension, so first
Six.
6 games done, but then he comes back, almost the
Yeah.
inverse of last year with the injury. The
Hmm.
defensive side of things, the offensive line has been addressed through some shifting, and
Hmm.
obviously the draft with Josh Simmons, who again I think we both think this dude might have been the biggest steal in
Yeah.
round one this year's draft. Which just helps, when injuries happen the way they are. Travis Kelsey
Yeah.
just got engaged, so the dude is going to be just extra energetic and stoked to be playing all year long. Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. This is not a good wide receiver core, but once
No.
Rasheed Rice comes back and
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy's here, I don't know. Watch out for this team, just as a whole, to just win a bunch of games and put themselves in position to win pretty much every game.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. When we're talking the Chiefs, they're going to win. It's just the way they're made up. It doesn't matter how bad their offense was last year at certain stretches of the season. They are going to find a way to win the football game. I think they got better. I think
Mhm.
offensive line wise, we talked about Josh Simmons falling that far in the draft. A big part was due to the injury that he sustained at the end of his college season. It was big reason why he fell. But I think that he is going to be your linchpin at left tackle for a few years. I
Mhm.
I like the bringing in of Christian Fulton to play the slot and help with the cornerback situation. Where they were banged up a little bit last year. Uh, the wide receivers will be the biggest question. Outside of Rasheed Rice once he comes back, can Xavier Worthy take another step forward, and can at least Marquise Brown stay on the field?
Mhm.
That's going to be the biggest question. Can he stay on the field? Because if he is, you got a really good deep threat in Marquise Brown that can just take the top off. They we thought maybe Xavier Worthy would be that guy, but they kind of played him in more of like a I don't want to say gadget, but more like, okay, we're going to give you the football and hand off, or we're going to throw you a little swing pass out to the side. Play a little bit more slot type, which I think was great for him because
Mhm.
it gave him more of ability to build onto his route tree compared to what he had coming into the NFL, where it was basically you run a straight line and hope that you can get past the corner. So I think that we'll see him take a step forward. and they really need Marquise Brown to stay healthy. But I still think that this is the top team, and I think signing up George Karlaftis was a big deal. I think he's so overshadowed. Everyone
Oh
wants to
my gosh, yeah.
talk about that draft because Aiden Hutchinson was the number 2 pick. But we go look. I'm telling you, go look at the numbers, and Karlaftis is right there with Aiden Hutchinson. He has more sacks, a few less pressures, but he's still such an underrated player when it comes to talking about the edge rusher that everyone wants to talk about Miles and all that. Aiden Hutchinson, blah blah blah. This guy is one of the better edge rushers in the NFL, but he just doesn't get the recognition that he deserves.
Mhm. Yeah. When you look at the division of the Chiefs, this is um, they're the Patriots right now,
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't like that. But I
no,
think once they get Rashee Rice back, he was leading the
hmm
league in catches
yeah,
last year almost. Whenever he got
hmm
hurt, and I think it's people are going to forget that. So get him healthy, get him back.
yep,
Obviously, keep him healthy, get him back, and then
yeah,
see what you can do with Xavier Worthy this year. He
yeah,
had some explosive plays in the Super Bowl when it
hmm
didn't matter. I don't know if
yeah.
that's any indication, but that is what you look at. So give me maybe your NFC prediction in the championship, and who's your prediction for the AFC in the championship?
So okay, AFC, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. Of course, I think they'll get back there. I think once Rasheed Rice comes back, the offense gets even better. Man, this one's tough. I'm torn between 3 teams because I believe that the Bengals in the playoffs could offensive wise is going to be such a headache for
Hmm.
everyone. But I'm gonna go with the chalk. I'm gonna go Bills Chiefs playoff.
Yeah,
In AFC, NFC. With I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I'm gonna go with the Lions. I
yeah.
think the Packers could definitely be in that conversation. I think the Buccaneers could definitely be in that conversation too.
Hmm.
But until we see, I think it's hard to exclude those 2 teams because I think they are the class of the NFC.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is gonna depend on the seeding, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Yes.
like the Lions for sure, and then, either the Packers or the Bucks over the Eagles, and the only reason
Mm-hmm.
why is before the Chiefs when was the last time someone won back-to-back Super Bowls? So I still think
Very
it's
true.
just so hard to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously even the Commanders are gonna be a sneaky team that, they could sneak in there. Seeding will matter. Give me the Lions as the main one, and then the Chiefs, and then I can't. The seeding will matter, but give me Buffalo as well. I think Josh Allen. I
Yep.
like him in the playoff a little bit more than I
Mm-hmm.
like Lamar Jackson. So
Yep.
that's
That's
just easy enough right there.
that's where I was like I was torn between the Bills, Ravens, and Bengals, but I haven't seen Lamar do it in the playoffs. I've seen Josh Allen do it in the playoffs. I
I
don't
have
think the
multiple
Bengals
times. Yeah.
have. Yeah, I don't think the Bengals have a good enough defense to get in
Hmm.
there. So
Hmm.
that's yeah.
There we go. Any Super Bowl prediction for the season?
Give me the Chiefs.
Give me
The
the
Chiefs.
Lions. The Lions make it happen somehow, some way, and America falls in love even more.
They definitely could.
Yeah, I could see that. It strikes me almost. If that happens again for the Chiefs, they do make it, they lose. It isn't LeBron narrative, but it's that style of like or Steph
Yeah.
Curry, where every single year you make it, and sometimes it's that Super Bowl is so crazy. Sometimes all the momentum
Yeah.
goes against you. Obviously, things can be close games, but that's what it looks like. So let's jump in real quick. We got some Week 1 picks. Let's go ahead and go
Yeah.
through some games. We got Oklahoma against Illinois State. Tubby. Not the question of who wins this game. I hope.
Yeah.
But does Oklahoma cover the spread with whatever it is, probably like 35?
Yeah. I think so. I think it's easy. I think that defense is gonna shut down that offense of Illinois State, and
It's
we're
not a good
going
offense.
no, and we're gonna see a much improved OU offense with John Mateer.
100%. And it's a 5 o'clock game, so you're going to get a lot of football in beforehand. I cannot do that.
Yeah.
So excited for
Right.
it to be back tomorrow. John Mateer, I hope. Come on.
Yes.
Can't put a whole lot of stock against Illinois State, though. So,
No.
early, big noon kickoff. You got the Ohio State University versus Texas, number 1 versus number 3, a matchup from last year. Incredible CFP
hmm
semifinal game. Arch Manning versus a brand new quarterback, but it is in Ohio State. So, who do you got, Tubby?
Yeah, I'm going to give the slightest edge to Ohio State just because it's in Columbus. I think the 1.5 point spread is completely accurate. I think it is a toss up.
Yeah.
essentially. But I'm going to give Ohio State the edge just because this is going to be Arch Manning's first game on the road against a
Yeah.
major power school in a very, very tough environment in Columbus. I think that I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock in
Mhm.
week one,
No.
but we'll see what his makeup is. Can he handle those big moments in a loud environment early on in the season? I might take Ohio State just barely though.
Yeah. Well, how about this? You remember that video of the Oklahoma State quarterback that was in the game and his hands were shaking? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Arch Manning is not going to do that. I don't want to say it, but give me Texas just slightly. They win this game, a field goal or
Yeah.
it's a one possession game. Give
Hmm.
me Texas in this only because I do think Arch Manning is a better quarterback, and at least he's been doing it. We know
Hmm.
a little bit more of what to expect
Yeah.
from him. It ain't gonna be easy though.
I think the biggest X factor in this game is going to be Colin Simmons and Hill. I think
Hmm.
those two on the defense with the revamped Ohio State offense
Hmm.
of line. I think those two, if they are in the backfield consistently,
Hmm.
it's a completely different story because those two are game wreckers when it comes to getting to the backfield. If they are consistently in that backfield, it's going to be a long game for the Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, we got Tennessee with a new quarterback versus Syracuse. Who you got
Yeah,
in this one, Tubby?
yeah. We talked about this before we went live. The fact that Tennessee is a 13.5 point favorite in this game to me is crazy. I think
Hmm.
Aguilar, you're putting so much stock in Aguilar, who didn't have a great season at Cal last year, or no, UCLA. Yeah, he transferred to UCLA. He was at Appalachian State. I really like Steve Angeli, the new quarterback for Syracuse. We saw him come in the playoff game last year and make the Notre Dame offense look more explosive. And
Hmm.
I think that this is an upset waiting to happen. I don't think Tennessee is that good this year with all the weapons they lost on the offensive side, losing Nico, losing Dylan Sampson, losing your top three wide receivers. I think that this is a rebuild year for Tennessee, and I think Syracuse upsets them in week one.
All right, well then let's move on to Florida State versus Alabama. The reason why we got to do this is because Castellanos, I think I'm saying that right. Uh,
Costello.
Costello
Yeah.
talking a lot of smack in the
Yeah,
offseason
yes.
about Alabama. Who you got in this game? Can Alabama and their new quarterback Ty Simpson can they win this one on the road?
Yeah, I think they win this one on the road. I don't really know what to think of this Florida State team. We talked about we think that there's a good chance that this coaching staff is gone by mid season. 14 and a half, maybe a little high because we don't know exactly what we got from with Ty Simpson and the rest of this offense. The defense is going to be the calling card for
Hmm.
them this year, and they're going to shut down that Florida State offense.
Hmm. Yeah, right there with you. I do. I think Alabama wins this one too. So I don't know that I picked the other one, but give me Tennessee. No, I'm feeling good about it. Not at all. No, I'm not feeling
No.
good about it. Just at home, I think that's another close game. I think you should have a lot of good
Well,
close
it's
games this
it's
week,
not at
especially
home.
because of
Remember,
all the.
it,
Oh,
it
that's right.
is
So
a
it's
is
like
a
a seventy
neutral site.
percent home game. I mean, they're going to have the
It's a
home
neutral
crowd.
site.
Yeah. All right, Clemson versus LSU. This one is in Clemson, South
Yeah,
Carolina. LSU, a national champion. These are two. This is could be a preview of the national
and
championship in Week One. What do you got,
yeah,
Tubby?
I'm going with my national championship pick for Clemson. I think Clay Cubnick. I think that this defense, the weapons that they have on offense, I think this is a very dangerous team. I think it's going to be a really good game because I think, like you said, I think is a national champion preview. I think that LSU is very underrated. Yeah, they are ninth, but I have them ranked higher than that. I think that they are one of the top 2 or 3 teams right now in college football. Looking at it, you know, with what they have returning and some of these guys that they've gotten in the transfer portal, I think that this team is really good. But I think Clemson's just a little bit better this year.
Yeah, give me Clemson. It is at home. K Clemson,
Hmm.
really comfortable there.
Yeah,
Dabo, I like it. It's gonna be a good game. I hope it is a preview. But here's what I will say: it is hard to beat the same team twice in one
it
year.
is.
So it's not the end of the world if you lose. If you
Yeah,
continue to win on through. So
yeah,
another OU type situation. I'm just curious. We got a true freshman quarterback starting at home for Michigan. against New Mexico as a 34.5-point favorite. I'm sorry, you think this Michigan team, is going to at least score 35 points tomorrow?
No.
So that's what I'm feeling. I don't see how this works with the style of offense that they play and a
Yeah.
true freshman quarterback. They're not gonna. This is no.
Yeah.
I cannot get my brain around this one.
Yeah. If I'm a betting guy, I'm taking the under on the 30 and 34.5. That's wild to me.
And then we got Carson Beck in Miami. It's the late game on Sunday versus Notre Dame. Who you got? This one is at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami.
Yeah. This is a tough game for Notre Dame right off the bat because you are bringing a new quarterback into the system. But give me Jeremiah Love to run all over this Miami defense. I'm not the biggest Carson Beck fan, so give me Notre Dame. I think that Jeremiah Love is the best running back in college football, and he's going to show it. Why on Saturday? And CJ Carr will do enough to not turn the football over, and the defense for Notre Dame is still really good, even though they lost 3 or 4 guys to the NFL.
Yeah, well, give me Miami in this one. They're at home. Carson Beck, he's going to have a bounce back year. That's what I'm going to say, but would I be surprised now? So that's what we got. Everyone, that is the show. Tubby, did we miss anything now?
We got a couple people in the chat.
Let's go. Quick. Okay.
We got so shout out to Ben who said I subscribed. Thank you. We appreciate that. Spizzy said I am subscribing. Appreciate that.
Thank you all. Then we got the best.
Then we got a Super Bowl prediction from Mako Dakota. Said I got Detroit versus Buffalo in the Super Bowl, which I definitely could see that.
An awesome Super Bowl. Could you imagine those two fan bases getting one of those is going to get a Super Bowl? Could you? Yeah. That's the one America probably wants.
That would be a great Super Bowl. And then we got Brandon Hallman in here saying, "Are we calling them the Dallas Cope Boys for the rest of the year because they're going to be coping with their feelings all season?" Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
2 episodes, whether it's college football. Happen in the Sports.
See ya.
See you.